If you're anything like us, just trying to keep a finger on the pulse of global tech can feel, well, impossible.
It moves so fast.
Exactly. Especially these huge battles being fought over connectivity, our data, and infrastructure.
Right.
So that's why we put together this snapshot. We took a focus stack of sources from mid-January 2026.
And they tell a surprisingly coherent story.
They really do. It's a story about where digital power is being challenged and, where these massive investments are being made. It's a shortcut, really.
A shortcut to understanding the three biggest fronts in the global tech war right now.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Our whole mission here is to take what look like random headlines, a satellite internet story here, a privacy update there, some infrastructure news.
And show how they all connect.
Exactly. We've distilled them into three big themes. First, this relentless fight for global unrestricted connectivity.
Yeah.
Then, a growing user-driven focus on tangible data privacy controls. And third, a really significant strategic acceleration of national digital infrastructure.
These stories, when you put them together, they really show where the challenges and the opportunities are concentrated right now.
This month, absolutely.
So let's start with the one that's it's ripping up the geopolitical playbook. This is the biggest international story in our sources.
Yeah, it has to be.
It's the news that Elon Musk's SpaceX company, Starlink, is providing free internet service via satellite in Iran.
And this is not a standard commercial rollout.
Not at all. It's an explicitly free intervention. That action alone, it forces you to completely rethink the relationship between a private company and, national borders.
Well, the context here just defines the action, doesn't it? This free service is active amidst a long-standing, widespread internet blackout.
A blackout imposed by the government across huge parts of the country.
Right. So when a government restricts or shuts down communication and a private global entity just steps in to provide an end run around it, that is a profound shift in power.
A profound shift is a good way to put it.
Think about the implications. What happens when a private company deploying tech that exists totally outside of terrestrial control effectively decides to become a sovereign access provider?
Right.
Starlink isn't a State Department. It's not an NGO. It's a commercial satellite provider.
But it's acting like a major policy actor on the global stage.
Precisely.
So what does that do to the idea of control for a sovereign state? If I'm a government, I'm used to regulating cable landings, fiber lines, the telcos operating within my borders.
All the physical stuff on the ground.
Yeah, but Starlink just bypasses all of that.
Completely. And this really highlights the tension between what we call national digital sovereignty and these global private communication networks.
Digital sovereignty being
Right.
what exactly?
It's the state's right to control its own digital fate. Its data, its infrastructure, its communication channels. When a technology like Starlink provides access from above, that sovereignty is challenged in a way that, terrestrial infrastructure never could be.
It creates a real-time dilemma.
A potent one. Does international law allow a private entity to just continually undermine a state's security or communication policy, even if the intent is framed around, say, digital rights or humanitarian access?
And on the flip side, how effective can a state actually be at imposing a digital blackout if the tech to bypass it costs nothing to the end user?
It's a huge question.
So you've got connectivity, which we think of as an everyday utility.
Helps water or electricity.
Right. And it's being transformed into this potent global policy tool. It sets a powerful precedent because it creates an expectation that access can and maybe will be provided regardless of local state control.
It forces states to confront technologies they can't easily regulate or control within their existing legal frameworks.
Okay, so that Starlink story shows the fight happening on this huge global continental scale. But let's zoom in from that massive geopolitical level right down to the individual phone screen.
Okay.
Because the fight for control is just as fierce there. Only now it's about control over us.
Over our data.
Exactly. We're moving from the battle for access to the battle for data control. Our sources show a really specific, focused effort to provide an easy way for users to delete their OpenAI account.
And specifically on all Android devices.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. why the extreme focus on making the exit ramp so simple, especially on Android, which is arguably the biggest gateway for new users globally.
Well, this is a perfect example of a behavioral shift driving a technical change.
How so?
For years, companies intentionally created what we call dark patterns.
Making it impossible to find the delete button.
Impossible. Or requiring multiple authentications, hiding the cancellation link deep in some menu. But now, in the age of generative AI, users are, well, they're intensely conscious of their personal information.
And what they're contributing to these massive data sets that power the models.
Exactly. The demand for accountability has sort of reached a crisis point.
Oh.
So OpenAI, recognizing this, is simplifying the process on a huge platform like Android because they know trust is everything.
So if the deletion process is hard, users just won't engage long term.
They won't. They'll fear their data is trapped forever.
So it's not just a technical update, it's a massive psychological commitment, really, and it's being driven by user anxiety.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like the digital equivalent of a high-end restaurant posting their full ingredient list. You feel safer consuming the product if you know exactly what's in it.
And that you can quickly get out if you need to.
Exactly. This shift from difficulty to ease of dilution is a corporate response, a way to maintain user engagement by providing a clear psychological safety net.
100%.
But I want to introduce a little friction here because this is where the deep dive comes in. Is making the account deletion process simple actually giving us real privacy? Or is it giving us the illusion of privacy?
That is the crucial distinction.
Because if the underlying large language model, the core AI that powers OpenAI's tools, has already been trained on my input, deleting my account doesn't necessarily wipe my data from the foundation of the model itself.
You've hit the nail on the head. In most cases, when you delete your account, you're deleting the personalized data associated with your user profile.
My chat history, payment info, settings, that kind of thing.
Right, you're cutting off the input stream. However, the data that was already aggregated and used to train that massive foundational model, the data that shaped its core intelligence,
That's a different story.
that is much harder and sometimes technologically impossible to retroactively delete without completely retraining the model from scratch. It's like trying to remove one specific drop of food coloring from a massive bucket of paint.
So the immediate benefit is control over my future data contribution and, easy disengagement. But the long-term data legacy, that remains.
Precisely. Which means the simplicity of the deletion process speaks less to achieving true data erasure from the core AI and more to achieving the level of user comfort required for mainstream adoption.
It's a good step toward accountability, but
But it raises that really important question. How much control do we, the users, truly have over the foundational data fueling these immensely powerful services? And, maybe more importantly, what level of control is actually possible?
that tension, global access versus individual data control, is perfectly balanced by our third theme.
Right.
And that's the intentional strategic acceleration of national digital infrastructure. We're moving from international policy battles and personal privacy demands.
It's a domestic commitment that you need to compete globally.
And our sources point to this major focused push in places like Bangladesh. They're building a domestic foundation for advanced computing and innovation.
And this isn't just incremental growth, this is strategic acceleration.
It really is. So let's start with a major infrastructure launch, the unveiling of the country's first shareable government GPU cloud infrastructure.
Okay, this is more than just a new server room. This is a declaration of strategic intent.
Let's break that down. What's a GPU cloud?
So, for listeners who might not be deep in the hardware terms, a GPU is a graphics processing unit. They were historically for, gaming graphics.
Right.
But now they are the absolute engines of modern high-capacity computing. They specialize in something called parallel processing, meaning they can run thousands of calculations at the same time.
Which is essential for training AI models, complex scientific simulations, all that stuff.
All of it. But the key word here, the one you mentioned, is shareable. This resource is government-backed, led by the Bangladesh high-tech entity, but it's not locked down for just internal government use.
They're democratizing access.
Explicitly.
But why is making it shareable so critical? Why can't students or researchers just use, the massive existing cloud providers like AWS or Google Cloud?
That's where the strategic necessity comes in. Using those international cloud providers involves massive costs, potential latency issues, and I think most importantly, reliance on non-domestic infrastructure.
Which brings up issues of data sovereignty and security again.
Exactly. So By building their own high-capacity, shareable GPU cloud, they are directly addressing two major domestic barriers.
Okay, what are they?
First, they're removing the huge cost barrier for researchers and students who could never afford to rent such powerful resources privately. And second, they're ensuring data sovereignty for critical national research and maybe defense projects.
So it's a huge investment that directly tackles the need for domestic capability, for talent development.
And it ensures they're not beholden to foreign tech giants for their future advancements.
Absolutely. And the explicit goals that the high-tech entity set out, they just confirm this talent pipeline focus.
Right, they list three clear aims.
They want to accelerate higher education, accelerate research, and this seems like the most crucial one, accelerate machine learning-based skill development.
They're investing in the hardware to make sure they can produce the talent pool needed to actually capitalize on that hardware. It's a closed loop.
That makes perfect sense. They're building the engine room for the next generation of engineers and researchers. And linking that commitment to momentum, we see another development. The Digital Device and Innovation Expo 2026 is taking place earlier than it was supposed to.
Yeah, the updated confirmed dates are now January 28th to the 30th, 2026. This isn't just a calendar error.
No, you don't accelerate a major multi-institutional event like that unless there's an intense strategic desire to get those products and innovators showcased immediately.
And the organizing bodies involved are really telling. You have the Information Communication Technology Division, the Bangladesh High-Tech Park Authority.
Same people behind the GPU cloud.
Exactly, and the Bangladesh Computer Society.
Yeah.
When these major institutional powers all align to shorten a timeline, it suggests a real sectoral impatience, a need to move now.
And if we connect the dots, we can maybe guess at the why. A massive, shareable GPU cloud resource is launched. It suddenly democratizes access to high-end computing. That new capability likely means that domestic engineers and startups can prototype and finalize products much, much faster than before.
So you're thinking maybe they had to accelerate the expo because the GPU cloud launch created a genuine surge in domestic innovation.
A surge that now needs an immediate, high-profile platform. It's a positive feedback loop, right? Strategic infrastructure investment leads directly to accelerated commercial showcasing.
That correlation makes the entire story of this national infrastructure investment far more compelling than just an announcement about new server racks.
Yeah.
It shows that the government's investment is already creating real momentum and forcing a faster pace of development. It's a proactive, strategic vision being executed very, very rapidly.
So what does this all mean? We started with just a handful of headlines from mid-January, and we've mapped out 3 distinct digital battlegrounds that are shaping 2026.
It's a pretty clear picture when you put it all together.
It is. We saw the fight for global open access versus state control, exemplified by the potent policy tool that Starlink has become.
Then we saw the intense, user-driven demand for personal control and accountability in the age of generative AI.
Right, driving major players like OpenAI to provide that simple psychological security through easy account deletion.
And finally, we saw this serious, government-backed infrastructure commitment, all aimed at future domestic capability and data sovereignty.
Marked by the shareable GPU cloud and that accelerated innovation expo.
And collectively, these stories give you a rapid, pretty comprehensive insight into where digital energy and resources are prized right now. It's a moment defined by tension.
The tension between globalization and national sovereignty.
Between convenience and privacy.
And between necessity and the accelerated delivery of domestic tech capability.
Which leaves us with a concluding thought that kind of builds on everything we've just discussed. If private global entities like Starlink can now successfully disrupt national communication blockades, and at the same time governments are aggressively deploying strategic, shareable, high-powered computing to compete globally, where is the ultimate control over the digital landscape going to reside in the short term?
That's a big question.
Will the sovereign state successfully reclaim its control? Will the global private tech giant continue to dictate the terms? Or will the individual user, empowered by these simple privacy demands, finally gain the most ground in controlling the digital narrative as we head into 2027?